In today's episode of the Motorhome Matt podcast,
one of the UK's oldest van converters is back.
In the news, the Western Motorhome and Campervan show is just around the corner.
And we answer your questions on where to get an annual service done, if awnings block vents and appliances breaking down.
Welcome to the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Industry insights and expert advice for the world of motorhomes, caravans and campervans. It's brought to you by thatleisureshop.com and sponsored by Ripe.
Now remember, please follow if you're listening on your favourite podcast app, or if you're watching on YouTube, please would you click subscribe and the little bell.
Well, this week, Matt, we're talking about Devon Conversions. Who are they? And why are we talking about them?
Well, Devon are one of the oldest, most established van converter businesses in the UK, and they were closed down in 2025. But now they're back. And I was approached by Steve, who bought it, and I got really excited because I loved seeing this kind of reinvented brand.
But isn't that where the excitement and the money now is? It's the smaller vans, it's the younger generation getting in. I mean, if they went belly up just in 2025, wasn't that the wrong time?
Well, I wanted to ask Steve what happened. Did they go belly up, or had they just had enough? This is Steve Fairbairn, the new owner of Devon. Stephen, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Now, this is a prolific brand. It's been around since 1956, and it's got quite a provenance, hasn't it?
It has. Originally based in Devon, sole converter for VW vans, doing the bay windows. Stayed in Devon under a few owners for a few decades, and then moved up to the northeast in the 80s. And then Peter's retired last year, and I've taken it on coincidentally in the 70th year it's been going.
Now, I heard that Devon were kind of gone because I got a call from Warner Shows, and we're at the Newark show at the moment, saying, the space that Devon usually have is available. And so I've booked it for my sales business. So Motorhome Holiday Company are going to be at the Shepton Mallet show.
Right.
And that's how I first got wind that Devon was kind of ceased trading. Ironically, I used to have that space years and years ago with another business that I owned, a dealership I owned then. So what happened? Why did it close down?
Well, essentially, Peter's been going a long time, and I think just taking the decision to retire. I was doing work for them with my other company, who we do servicing and repairs. I was doing all their warranty work and their servicing work, but I only found out because I noticed that the workshop was coming up for rent. So it had already essentially closed down. Stock was sold, staff were laid off. But I just thought it was such a shame for the brand to disappear and that name to disappear, that I had a word with Peter, and we came to an arrangement where I could take over the brand, the website, get all the jigs and the templates and all the stuff to continue making the vans that he was building. So it was a shock to me as well. It just kind of happened all of a sudden. It would have been nice to sort of continue as it was, but we've almost had an enforced hard reset. So we're sort of concentrating on one model now, and we'll develop that, modernise it slightly, bring it a bit more up to date, and then we'll start from scratch again and continue from there.
You won't mind me saying, but Devon, for me, has always been a very kind of safe design, quite beige, if I can say, creams, and a very traditional camper van for a very specific type and discerning type of buyer. But I notice here, the one behind you, it's got funky wheels, it's got a rack on the back with a ladder, and you've gone a kind of a little bit off-road. Is this the new look for Devon?
Yes, in a way. To say it's traditional is not a bad thing. Construction-wise, of all the furniture is very traditional, but it's strong and sturdy. And Devon's reputation was in build quality. So I'm not going to change that.
Right.
There's no point. But yes, decals have been updated. There's the choice now of, do you want those wheels or do you want a standard set of wheels? Do you want the rack? Do you not want the rack? Do you want different upholstery? It can be tailored to whatever the customer wants, although it's not a custom conversion. But we are targeting a slightly different demographic of customer. But at the same time, not trying to alienate our existing customers. With Our Facebook Owners Club's got nearly 1,000 members, something like 996, if you want to bring that up a little bit. So there's a strong following, and we've had customers here today who are on their 5th, 6th Devon Campervan. So I don't want to upset them, I don't want to alienate them. But yeah, at the same time, there's a lot more people who might come to the brand, get that quality, but in the colours they like and the trim they like.
Well, you have a big responsibility on your shoulders because, as you say, it is a very established brand with a very loyal following. And I love that you are bringing the brand a little bit more up to date and innovating. And I'm excited to see where this goes for you. And I wish you every success.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, have a great rest of the show.
Will
and
do.
We'll see you at a few shows this year. Which shows are you at this year? You're going to Lincoln.
This year's Lincoln. I was a bit late to get booked into everything this year. But next year we'll be at the majority of the Warner shows. And yes, we'll see everybody then.
Okay, so people can find you at the Lincoln show. Where can they find you online?
So the website is devonconversions.co.uk. We also have a Facebook page, Devon Conversions. You can find all the updates and information on there.
Brilliant. That's great. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's Steve Fairbairn, the owner at Devon Conversions. Well, he's answered the question, hasn't it? It sounds exciting.
Yeah.
But we're now so used to hearing about businesses in this sector closing.
Yeah, true. Yeah, well, even this week, as we record this, Brown Hills were reported to have gone into the red for the very first time, to the tune of nearly £1 million.
What?
That's painful. Year end of September 25. They are the UK's largest single-site retailer, and they're reporting a pre-tax loss of £961,000.
You've got to be going some to do that, haven't you?
Yeah, which compares with a pre-tax profit the year before of £1.22 million. So something's gone wrong there. That's a £2 million difference.
Maybe they're writing something off.
Well, it will be the case that many dealers are facing, I would imagine. I've not spoken to anyone at Brown Hills, so I don't know. But my guess would be they've had to sell stock at a loss to clear the decks, to make way for new stock, to keep the wheels moving. And I'm sure they can fund it because there's hopefully cash in the business. But that's going to take some coming back from, and obviously we hope that they do. Whereas conversely, Grantham Caravans are in the news the same week and have reported a profit, a growth year on year, and that's deemed to be because of their move from caravans into more motorhome sales, which of course are higher value, higher margin, and probably easier to sell than loads of caravans. And their diversification has meant for them a pre-tax profit of nearly 70k at the end of June 25. So yeah, they made a loss of 300,000 the year before. So they're on the up, still in a loss position.
But we have been talking over the last few months, haven't we, about how caravan sales and caravans generally are dipping, aren't they?
They're in decline, undoubtedly, yeah, which is strange because, the rules to tow a caravan have been relaxed. But as you said earlier, before we heard from Steve, the move to campervan seems to be very popular and really quite evident. And there is undoubtedly a huge growth in the van conversion. And where I'm excited is that growth in the micro van conversion, the micro camper. So that kind of VW Caddy type product, the smaller single person or couple van. And what Steve's tapping into is the long provenance of van converting, and he's not operating anywhere near the same scale, but he's modernising the product. The product has been very traditional, and Steve didn't mind me saying that in the interview, and it's not really my cup of tea, but Steve is modernising it, and he is innovating, and I love innovation, as you know, and so I'm excited for where Devon Conversions go. They are at the Lincoln show, which is coming up very soon. If you're listening to this, September 26, he'll be there, so do go and check them out. And he's got demonstrators there which have got funky alloy wheels and funky bike racks and lots of accessories on them, and kind of bringing the brand, I would say, into the current era and the current day.
Yeah, because with the van conversions, they're smaller, so it costs less anyway, but people, they customise and they put really good quality stuff in them, don't they? It's not a question of you're looking around the motorhome and saying, oh, that's the fridge or that's the oven, and it's all fitted already for you. People are making a choice, aren't they?
Well, if you're doing your own, yes. But Steve's keeping very true to the Devon roots. So the layouts are staying very much the same because the jigsaw exist for that. And the styling inside, he's tweaking very slightly because he's got a very long established, very traditional audience. And some of them, he says, I meet customers who are on their 6th or 7th conversion from Devon. They've been very loyal throughout their campervan and motorhome journey. So Steve doesn't want to lose that. So I'm following this journey of Steve's with great interest to see how he can take a very established brand, which gives him a massive head start on the competition because he's got that provenance and he's bringing in this modern edge, and it will be very interesting to see how he grows. Can he keep hold of that loyal established audience and attract newbies to the brand? We want to watch.
And like I said before, the younger generation are coming much more into van conversions because it's the cheaper end of things, isn't it? But there's a lot of imagination coming in as well from that new generation, and of course the ability to what we call go off grid. You're independent of campsites.
Yeah, that's right.
So people have adopted that, haven't they?
Yeah, that's right. And van conversions undoubtedly have become the kind of blue-eyed boy of our marketplace, for sure.
It's the Motorhome Matt podcast with me, Keith Gooden.
And me, Motorhome Matt.
It's brought to you with thatleisureshop.com and sponsored by Ripe.
Now remember, get 15% off your premium with Ripe. The discount applies automatically if you click the link in the episode description.
Time for our questions and answers. We do it every week. You ask the questions. Motorhome Matt, over there, he answers them. If he doesn't have the answer, he'll ask somebody who does. First of all, Steve Lavelle in Bristol has been in charge. Hi, Matt. I was about to sort annual service and checks for my 1-year-old camper, and I found out the dealer I bought it from has gone bust. In order to honour the warranty, can I use another approved dealer for the make of my van? Many thanks, says Steve.
Thank you, Steve. You haven't said what make or manufacturer the van is, but potentially, yes, you may be able to go to another dealership if they will take on your workload. Remember, we've discussed this at length. They didn't sell you the van, so they didn't get their piece of the pie when they sold it to you. So to work under warranty means they are potentially working at a loss because the manufacturer might be paying them less than they want to charge you. You may have to top up the difference. You're going to have to explore this with another dealership. The other option could be, and again, it depends on the manufacturer, is you could go to an approved workshop, and they are approved by many manufacturers, and they are mobile or they are bricks and mortar. We feature quite a few on the Motorhome Matt approved directory. So if you go there and check out workshops on there, you will find the brands and services that I commend. The NCC approved workshop scheme is Motorhome Matt approved because I'm a big fan of what they stand for, and they have a network now of over 600 workshops around the country, and you'll find a few specific ones that are local to us here near Bristol, and some others around the country as well. So it's not the end of the road. You're just going to have to explore what your options are.
It's time, isn't it, for the industry to have something like ABTA. If your holiday company goes bust and that ABTA registered, then somebody else picks up the pieces and there's an insurance fund in order to fund the shortfall. Why can't they do that with motorhomes? Dealers, and they I don't know, they pay in a monthly subscription every year, and if one of them goes belly up, then the rest of them can pick it up via an insurance policy.
You say it's time for that. I think it was time for that in 1960. Yes, absolutely. We are a very under-regulated industry. Anybody can set up as a motorhome dealership. To get a manufacturer franchise you want to sell new is not difficult. When I set up my dealership, it was called Family Travel Centre in Bristol, and I was one of the founders of that. We were shocked how easy it was to become a main dealer for several marques. One of them was Adria, and we built a real loyalty to Adria and learned a lot about the product and became experts in it. And it's a great product, but I remember saying to their sales manager at the time, we're going to put blue floor tiles down. Is that okay? He went, yeah, do what you like. And we're going to wear grey T-shirts. Do you care? No. Wear what you like.
Right.
So, you go into an Audi dealership, it's very prescriptive. They'll insist that the dealership spends millions on the refit and they want them to do it regularly. I was chatting to someone recently who was a dealer principal for Audi. He said our refit would be regular and it would cost us hundreds of thousands of pounds just to continue with the marque. But in this industry, not at all. Hardly ever.
I was in a BMW car dealership about a month ago. Yeah, my wife's got a recall on her car, something needed replacing. They're very good at that, BMW. Well, on the recalls, it was like a 5-star hotel.
They are lovely.
You know, would you sit here? Would you like a coffee? Would you do this? Can I carry you up the stairs? Gary Clark is a Motorhome full-timer. Hello, Matt, Keith and Maddie. P.S. Say hello to Mrs. Motorhome, Matt, too, from Leslie and Gary. Arrived at the Newark Warner show on Thursday and it was a wet day. As you know, he says. We, the boss, Leslie, thought it was a good idea to purchase a porch awning for similar days throughout the year. Decided to test fit and trial one during the hottest June days recorded. And that, he says, is a whole different story.
Anyway, the wind got up on the third day and we were looking at ways to stop drafts and seal the awning. Then I realised our Truma boiler flue and our 3-way fridge vents are enclosed by the awning, and the potential for carbon monoxide poisoning is a reality. Is there a solution? And should manufacturers, suppliers and dealers make consumers aware of this?
Keep up the superb work, says Gary, and everything you do. It's fantastic pastime and lifestyle, and sorry for the long-winded message.
Not at all. This is a lovely couple. So I've been following this couple for, 2 or 3 years. Before they'd even bought the motorhome and before they'd sold their house. And so I feel like I sort of live with them in the motorhome. It's lovely. And they've really got engaged with the pastime. So it's great to hear from you both. Thank you. So you're absolutely right. I don't think this is an issue that is flagged anywhere other than on here. Only last week we were talking about barbecue points again, weren't we? And the risk of putting a barbecue point in the awning.
In the awning, you mustn't do because of carbon monoxide build-up.
And your boiler does generate carbon monoxide, and in a good hab check they will use a meter to measure the carbon monoxide and check it's within safety limitations. And equally the fridge, it has a naked flame in the back when it's running on gas and it creates carbon monoxide, hence the flue, which should go out the roof. So the only advice I can offer is ventilate and ventilate. Make sure there is air getting through that awning rather than trying to seal it up.
I've got a question for you. Should they ventilate?
Absolutely.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. At least 3 times.
Yeah.
And make sure that boiler and that flue and that fridge and its flue are serviced regularly, and get them checked at the habitation check. Ask to see the carbon monoxide readings generated by the boiler and by the fridge, because not every service centre will measure it. Not all of them have the special meter that measures carbon monoxide, and they won't report it. So really important you are within thresholds. But even then, you are still going to export some carbon monoxide into that confined space. So don't seal it up. If you are sealing it up, then run the boiler and the fridge on electricity. Don't run it on gas. Yeah. It's only on gas that there's a naked flame. When you're running on electric, assuming you're on hookup, it's not generating the same nature of carbon monoxide.
You're not burning gas, and so the carbon monoxide isn't a byproduct.
Correct.
Yeah. And remember, with carbon monoxide, we've mentioned it before, it's the silent killer. It's you just feel sleepy, go asleep, and you never wake up. It pushes the oxygen out of your bloodstream. Yeah. And actually, people's blood, when they test it, is redder than when it's got the oxygen in it. It's so effective, the carbon monoxide of taking over the bloodstream, and that's why you go asleep. You've got no oxygen, off you go, and that's it. That's the end of it.
It's a real risk. Yeah. So Leslie and Gary, thank you so much for raising this, because I don't think this is being talked about anywhere else, really.
John Raisey's in Trowbridge. Hi guys, I'm researching to buy my first motorhome. Okay. I'm looking at a semi-permanent van life. Talking about that earlier, weren't we? I'm probably looking to buy a van around 5 years old, but I'm terrified of the appliances and gadgets breaking down. Do fridge freezers and such like last longer because of infrequent use? Or are things like motorised drop-down beds hard to fix or replace? Thanks very much, says John. Over to you, Matt.
Well, John, you're right to have a concern, because the reality is motorhomes are not built for full timing. In fact, there are some manufacturers that won't honour their warranty on your product if you report to them that you are full-timing in
Really?
it. Yeah.
Because when I see them, they're all nice and shiny at the NEC, and they are nice and shiny, and they look glorious inside. I'm just assuming the products they're putting in, like the electrical stuff, the fridges and the cookers and the jacks and stuff for the beds, they're all really durable.
High quality maybe, durability not so much. Remember, this pastime is based on people carrying out 2 or 3 fortnights away and half a dozen weekends. That's what they're built for. They're not built for all-time, full-time use. And anyone who's full-timing in a factory-built motorhome will vouch for this. They'll know that their water pump, maybe the element in the boiler, or certain things will have failed in the time they've been living in it. And it's a reality of full-timing in a motorhome. You may be lucky and it may not fail, but if I was buying in a motorhome, would I buy in a motorhome that had been full-timed in? Yes, I would. I would offer to sell it, but I would want to have an excessive service done on the boiler, the fridge. I'd probably replace the water pump. I'd want to check the wiring, that there's not been overheating and that wiring is not burnt through. And anything with a mechanical electrical part is not experienced excessive wear, because it might only have 5,000 miles on it, but it's been lived in for full time for 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's the reality. The same with upholstery. Upholstery is going to get worn far more quickly by someone who's living in it full time.
And it's strange, isn't it? Things that you don't use, you leave. They just seem to fall apart faster than things you do use.
Well, that can be true as well if you're not using it very often. Yeah, and there's a reason also for caution buying something that has excessively low mileage. I've quoted the story before, but I remember our workshop manager, we're bringing a motorhome in that I think was 5 or 6 years old, and it had 1,500 miles on it.
Yeah.
And it hadn't been lived in. It was near immaculate. And he said, would I buy it? Probably not. It's not been run in because it's been stood around for a long time. So that's the risk of things not having enough use, is that can cause wear and tear just through rusting and things seizing up.
Yep.
Your motorhomes want to be used.
Rubber seals go, etc., etc. Yeah.
So if it's designed to move, it needs to move. Leaving it stood around for ages is not helpful. But conversely, overusing stuff can also have a cost. So yeah, there is a risk, John, that the fridge could fail. If you're semi-permanent van life, probably you're reducing the risk. But if you're full-time van life, there is a risk that after a year or so that parts are going to wear out.
And whenever you work in professional industry, using electrical items or pumps or whatever, the pro ones are always bigger and heavier, aren't they?
Yeah, of course.
So weight, is an issue as well, isn't it, with some of the more durable items?
Yeah, and we don't always have the option of pro parts. There are low-cost parts. So there's a range of water pumps. I remember Deathlefts went through a spate of fitting a particular water pump that failed commonly in the first year. They're rubbish. And I must have replaced 5 or 6 with customers coming in and they'd show me the pump. And I said, what have you got? And they said, it's a Deathleft. It's like, right, let's get a Reich one, a proper one fitted.
But the problem with that is, like with car manufacturers, isn't it? They're probably buying that water pump in from a different manufacturer and putting it in a Deathlefts.
Yeah.
Deathlefts. I can never say that word. Deathlefts motorhome, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. And it's all down to the purchasing department. Yeah. And it's about getting the screen price to the right price.
Yes.
And, it's a challenge for manufacturers because the chassis that these motorhomes are built on now are getting heavier and way more expensive. They've got automatic gearboxes increasingly because we all want an auto. That carries weight and cost. We've got way more safety equipment, airbags. The ECUs are bigger and heavier.
Electronic control unit,
yeah. And loads of electronic gadgetry in them, which makes the base vehicle much heavier. So the manufacturer has to build out of lighter components, which doesn't necessarily mean cheaper. It could mean much more expensive. You get into carbon fibre, incredibly expensive, really light, totally unaffordable by the time you finished. So the temptation for manufacturers is to cut corners by using lighter, which often means cheaper components, which means the end product remains at generally a higher screen price still, but durability and reliability goes down.
And of course the manufacturer, they are looking at what their customers are doing, aren't they, and surveying them and finding out how much use and what average use is. So they're not doing this blind, are they?
Not at all. And there are manufacturers that realise their customer wants to go off-grid and people are doing extended tours, 6 or 9 month holidays, and so they will kit the vans out with really good lithium, really good electrical systems, and much higher quality appliances, but they come at a much higher price. And there are brands like Carthago, try and say that one. Carthago, who are doing exactly this, and we've spoken to them in the past. And the end product's amazing. The screen price is also incredible. It's
a truism, isn't it? You pay for quality.
Of course you do. Yeah. Pay less, buy twice, or whatever the phrase is.
How do people get in touch?
We'd love it if you did. Yeah, maybe you've got a view on what we've been talking about. Head to mhmp.info/Ask Matt. We'd love it if you recorded your question. Please tell us where in the world you are, or fill in the form and we'll read it for you.
And you can join our new Facebook group. It's called Chat with Motorhome Matt. It's at mhmp.info/chat.
Yes, and remember, please follow if you're listening on your favourite podcast app, or if you're watching on YouTube, click subscribe and the little bell.